In social psychology, a stereotype is an overgeneralized belief about a particular category of people or dogs. Stereotypes are generalized because one assumes that the stereotype is true for each individual in the category. They encourage prejudice and they may be erroneous when applied to particular individuals. Matilda is a pit bull. And just as I mentioned that, she probably locked herself immediately in a particular part of your brain, the part where pit bulls are. I first saw her at the vet's when her rescuer George brought her in for her first clinical exam. She was coming straight from the streets. We had no way of knowing her background, her history, her character, nothing. We only knew that she was a pit bull, and with these two simple words bringing information into my brain as I was observing her, I assumed that her wounds were from fighting. Apparently, what else could they be from? I have to admit that she must have been one of the most poetically sad dogs I have ever filmed on the examination table. In her pain and in her resignation, there was a beauty shining through. It became difficult to imagine her fighting. And the truth is that she hadn't been fighting. The sores on her skin were symptoms of leishmaniasis. Matilda was simply very sick. After the vet, she went home with George. And there was that information in my brain again, telling me things without me being able to prove them wrong. George was taking her home, the home he shared with 5-6 more rescue dogs. Was he sure? We knew nothing about her, and she was still a pit bull. I told my brain to shut up. George is a trainer and he knows what he's doing. That new input I forced my brain to process helped me worry a bit less. And Matilda had her treatment and recovered in that home, where dogs would come and go. Every day she was becoming less pit bull and more Matilda. Matilda who relaxes next to her friends. Matilda who plays like a puppy. Matilda who sleeps cuddling up. Matilda who comforts the newcomers. Matilda of the pack in the mountain. Matilda of the pack by the sea. Matilda of the pack in social visits, Matilda who fits in, Matilda who knows the rules, Matilda who helps George teach the new rules to everyone else, Matilda who is always there and who is the one to be trusted the most. Matilda was adopted by her rescuer, and together they have been training and socializing each and every one of our rescue dogs, from puppies to adults and seniors, from fearful and aggressive to withdrawn and misunderstood. She is such a mentally healthy and stable dog that she is the first one to be trusted with the newcomers. And while George is teaching them the human rules, Matilda is teaching them the dog rules. She is teaching them how to play without biting, how to claim without fighting, how to relax without worrying about anything at all. She is a playful, confident, assertive dog, and she follows the rules as if she was the one who invented them. Sometimes it's fun to sit back and just watch her. Watch her play with Mirlein, who was labeled extremely dog aggressive a few weeks ago. Mirlein who would go mental on the sight of another dog, and here he is now learning the dog language again from a pit bull. A pit bull. How has that information about pit bulls in your brain changed, by the way, during the last few minutes? Are you thinking, wow, she is amazing with dogs despite being a pit bull? Because I just realized that I am. You see, we can never get over that first information that is put into our brains. Even when presented with individuality, we see it as something that exists despite the stereotype, not regardless of it. Stereotypes occur without conscious awareness. We do not realize them. They help make sense of the world. They help simplify and systematize information. And people are socialized to adopt them or not to. And there is also self-stereotyping, and it can play a central role in depression in people. Luckily, it only happens with people, not dogs. So Matilda can't self-stereotype. She can't think less of herself. She can't put herself into a category she doesn't understand. She can't act accordingly to what we think of her breed. Matilda only acts accordingly to Matilda. Whether that is despite being a pit bull, or because she is a pit bull, or regardless of the fact that she is a pit bull, makes no difference to her. She is just being her awesome self without realizing it, and maybe that is a lesson to learn from her. Maybe that's the one thing to keep in mind when we rescue, when we foster, when we adopt, when we discriminate, and when we don't.